Ryan, can you see that from back there?
Yeah.
Do you mind reading that?
As long as students can see that their efforts make a difference, they will give effort. They will show up and keep playing. Consequently, they will achieve greater growth and proficiency.
Okay. Anybody heard of Shane Lopez? He wrote the book called, I can't remember what the name is.
Making Hope Happen.
Making Hope Happen. Thank you, Michael. Making Hope Happen. So Shane Lopez says that the minute that we don't feel like our actions are gonna matter, we lose hope. So we got to find a way to keep that hope. Now it's tricky. We're talking 3 kids here. You've got how many kids? 230, 240, 180? I don't know how many, but it's a lot, right? Okay, Frank, would you? Well, you can't see that. What part? Corey, sorry. Frank, you know what I was saying there. Sorry, man. Okay, Corey.
Sure, no problem. As soon as students see that their efforts no longer matter, they lose hope. Once hope is gone, students are more inclined to misbehave, stop attending, and disengage.
Is that true? Okay, this is just me again here. So I think that hurts kids. Okay, can't see that, can you? It says F 50% and below. Okay. Now I'm not saying we don't give Fs, and I'm not saying that I mean that may happen. I guess what I'm trying to say here is that when a student gets down in that 10, 20, 30%, they quit. Kind of like Will with the football game. It got too hard. That's probably their fault. They didn't do this or they didn't do that. They didn't complete this, they didn't complete that. But they quit. And when they quit, if they quit 3 weeks into the term, what do we lose out on? Where's that bubble going? The bubble's going down, right? So the question is, oh, there's one more thing here. What practices, policies, and procedures create small wins, inspire, instill confidence, and consequently creating maximum growth and proficiency? Now, Mike Sellers shared a practice the other day. Mike, I haven't gotten back to you about this practice. Do you mind just resharing what you shared in faculty meeting? It was just a small little practice change that you made.
With my computer tech, we do everything in class, so I expect them to be responsible for printing out their assignments. Now, constantly throughout class, I'm reminded that, okay, we got to print this out as being turned in. Well, I was leaving it up to them to just turn it in the basket, and then I would check later. And I was getting a lot of zeros, and there was a lot of kids that, and I find it even still today, there's still a few kids that I have to constantly remind. So I was telling them, there was a ticket out of the classroom, and they had to physically hand me the assignments that were required to be turned in that day. And it got uncomfortable for some kids, but after a while, they would start walking up to the door and they'd say, oh yeah, and I could tell they turn around and they forgot to bring it up or print it out, and they would turn around now. I have a lot of kids now that don't even dare come up without having up an assignment because they know that I'm going to ask them, where is your assignment? And they have to explain to me what they've been doing for that hour and 20 minutes. And it's really turned a lot of zeros into turning their grades in.
So I think all Mike's doing is holding students accountable for the work that he wants them to do. I'm going to Sharon, would you mind sharing? Sharon and I had an experience with a student, and I guess it's the idea of holding students accountable for the work that we want them to do. So,
let's do this in tandem.
okay, do it in tandem.
So, I have a student named Edgar who doesn't like to write. He's a smart young man, but he doesn't have academic language, and he doesn't have a sense of how to format in writing. And I think he's got good ideas, but not much vocabulary. So he hasn't been writing. He's been cherry picking what he'll do in class. So over time, because his grade is so low, he'll just come in and put his head down on the desk and won't participate. Pretty much checked out. So I contacted Theron and Carol, and I think it took her about a week to set up an appointment with Mother because there wasn't a current telephone number. Is that right? And Mother is partially fluent, would you say?
Yep.
And she came in with her sister, so there was an aunt and Edgar, right?
Yeah.
And we sat down and had a little conversation about why he wasn't writing. And so Theron was really good to support the fact that he needed to get this work done and immediately. So Theron sent him back to the computer lab with me that very day. And Mother had to wait while Edgar went through his writing of this paragraph. He had some start on it, but not very thorough.
So let me break you right there for just 1 second. So here, this student is putting his head down on the desk, right? What message is Sharon saying to not only the student, but to her class about her culture? What message is she sending right now?
I hope it's that I expect him to write.
What is it?
It's okay to drop out.
No, she's not sending that message,
Once he
right?
puts his head down, she doesn't
Right,
bring
right.
that up, she's saying it's okay. you
Right,
can drop
but
out.
what message is she sending now by reinforcing with, not okay?
It's not appropriate.
It's not appropriate, it's not okay.
In fact, we had several conferences on this, and he promised me that he would get work in and did not. And so, he knew that, you know, and I told him that I was gonna set this up, and I gave him a deadline of Friday, and then when Friday came and he ignored that deadline, then I went immediately to Carolyn and Theron, and we got this set up.
Now, we don't have time to do that for every student, so our practices and our policies and our procedures have to work for us, and the effort has to come from the kids. I think we give too much sometimes. I think we give too much to try to lift kids back up because they've come down so far. And I think there are practices and policies and procedures that can keep kids in that ball game so that every day they're giving their best effort, because that's what we want. We want their best effort. We got enough to do. In fact, I'll tell you, I hope, you know, back to the balance thing, lunchtime should be student-free. Now, if you're not taking lunch student-free, please be careful with that, because again, it's part of that balance part. And we end up giving too much. There are practices, policies, and procedures that can work for us and maximize that effort from students. Anything else there, Sharon?
Well, no, we went ahead and got a rough draft, and Theron said he wanted to see a final draft and gave, you know, Edgar a deadline on that. And so I did a little editing with him. The interesting thing was that when he actually got the draft completed, he was quite elated about it. You encountered him in the hall, did you not,
Yeah.
afterwards? He was quite pleased, but what was his comment? I think it was that it was a lot of work.
A lot of work. A lot of work. It is a lot of work. And we want these kids to give it. We
But
want
the-
them to give it.
But the fun thing was that he now had a grade where he had a 0, and it elevated his overall GPA to the point where he had a chance at credit, and he was, so the next time we had a writing assignment, I'll make this really quick, he turned in a draft. Was it great? No. We were in the library, working in the computer lab in here, but he did turn in a draft, and he has a grade. So he has a little bit more confidence now that he can do what's expected, and I no longer have to fight the head on the desk
There you
because
go.
he comes in engaged.
She's got a little bit of a bounce in her
So
step.
thanks for your support.
Thank you, Sharon. Okay, Robin, go ahead and share this healthy zone. We'll do a little, this is something we stumbled across that the PE team is just starting to work with.
Yes.
So Robin, kind of share a little bit, just in a couple minutes, then we're going to turn it over to Mike. And
Okay, so Murphy asked us to, how are we going to apply the effort into PE? What were we going to do to change practices and track kids better? And so about a year ago, we got a lot of grant money. So we purchased what they call polar heart rate monitors. So we have 50 of these that we can now strap onto our students so that while they're working out, I'll show you.
these are coming for students' brains too. You'll all have a set.
Well, the night,
To be able to see if they're in the
I'll
healthy
just
zone or
quickly
not.
share an experience that I had with the mom already. Murphy, can you?
Yes, what do you need?
I just got to show
Yep.
that over yours. If you can blank yours out for a second. Okay. Is that going to work? We'll figure it out. Okay. So, anyways, so we can now track students' heart rates while they're working out, and they can
Brett,
see
put
what.
it in here. Put it in here, because it's okay. We'll.
Oh, thank you. Can you guys see it? Okay. I don't want to mess up yours.
Yeah, your remote can work.
What do I need to do?
It's okay. You can kind of see.
You want to put it
it.
in? You put it in. It's fine. Here.
She says to plug in your AV remote. Your AV remote will block out.
Oh, yeah. Turn that power off there. No,
Just hit A, B, mute.
just turn the
Turn
power
off
off your
Just do
projector.
A/B
You got two projectors on, is what they're
A/B
saying.
mute.
Yes, okay. Anyway, so we strap these on the kids and they just wear them for the entire class period, and then I can, like if I'm doing a step unit, I can project this up on the wall, and usually when I project it, I'll do it by their student number, so it's more, so they can't see like my name, whose name it is. So they'll have their student numbers, but this is just kind of, so while they're working out, it will show the variances of their heart rate while they're doing the stepper. So we used it during our biking unit to see where they were, so I can click on a student here, and it'll show them what their heart rate looked like the entire time while they were in the biking unit. You can see the spikes as to when they were biking and resting and running, and so it just kind of gives them a good replay of what, so for 11 minutes and 45 seconds they were in their healthy zone. And so we're shooting for trying to get them to at least 20 minutes every day in PE, at least, and then go up from there. So this has been really nice to have, just to help kids see. So for example, the experience I had with the mom called and said, my daughter came home and said that, you put a heart rate monitor on her and that you're grading her on her effort and that she needs to be above 60%, and she was having a hard time getting above 60%. And I said, well, who's your daughter? She told me the daughter's name, and I said, Tiara. And I said, well, the problem with Tiara is she's exercising with kids in the class that are at her fitness level. So if I exercise with someone that's not at my fitness level, what's going to happen to my heart rate monitor? Well, I'm not going to get high enough. I said, so she now has to make a choice. Am I going to stay with the girls that aren't as in good a shape? Because those girls were up in the 80s by what they were doing. But if Tiara stays with those girls, she's only in the 60s because she's in much better shape. So Tiara's effort in class now has to go way up in order to get her heart rate up into that 67 percentile, as opposed to someone else who is not as in good a shape, can do less effort but get that heart rate up. So now really we're gauging effort on their fitness level. How, if they're in good shape, they're really gonna have to work harder, and if they're not, so it's been really interesting.
Where's
to
your little strap
figure
here?
these out.
So, that really would be a good thing, wouldn't it? Would you guys agree that if students gave their best effort every day, that the learning would go off the charts?
Well, that makes a difference in my class too. If they're in interior design and they're sitting by people who just want to talk and not do anything, they do worse. So that's why I move them around. Then they get with someone who's working and they're working, it comes up.
And the challenge is to get all students giving that effort, because what happens when there's a few that don't, it starts to get contagious. And it starts to define a culture, right? A classroom culture. And then we all know what happens with learning at that point. Dan?
Well, that just, as Robin was explaining that, it reminded me of your first slide with Will and Taylor. We do have students that come in with prior knowledge and a lot of experience with with the field that we're talking about. We also have the others who don't. And so I think that's a good analogy for, with the kids that already come with prior knowledge and, great work ethic and things, how do we keep them challenged and involved, and, it's that differentiated learning, but, to make sure that those kids that already get it, work at this level rather than stay here, keep pushing yourself up here, while we bring those others that might not have prior knowledge or might not have, had, experience with our unit or whatever it is we're teaching. I mean, I think that's a good analogy for many things that we're talking about.
Super. Thanks, Dan.
Well, and like I said, the crazy thing was years ago Murphy challenged us to do better, to be better. And I think part of it is, and he made a statement, he said, what you put in is what you get out. The energy you put in, the effort you put in is what you're going to get back from your students. And that really struck me hard, because I thought about that and I thought, how true is that? If I come to work every day and I don't want to push myself and I don't want to try new things, and the kids don't see me working, how do I expect to get that effort from them? And so this is a lot of work. You can ask Frank and Darren. It takes a lot of work to actually initialize the program and get it up to, but then once it's up and running, it's all done by Bluetooth. But the nice thing is that it gives us an opportunity to go above and beyond a normal PIN program. And I think that's what we wanted here at Timpanogos, is to be above the norm. To actually look at ways to teach above and beyond other teachers. And if that's our focus, if that's what we're looking for, then we can really inspire our students to have that kind of same element of learning. If I'm willing as a teacher to go above and beyond, then my students can see that, they can feel that, and hopefully feel like, well, Bretzing's giving her best effort, why I should, and then I, as a student, should do the same.
Okay, and I want you to know, there's not one teacher in here that I question kids 125%. You all do, in your respective classes, your programs, your clubs. I do believe, though, that we have sometimes policies and procedures, myself included at the school level, that demotivate, that don't get the best out of students because they quit too soon on us. So this isn't about our intention, this isn't about our effort. It's just taking a look at what practices, policies, and procedures we have.